Hi, this is my review for The Shores of Tripoli. It is a US Navy and Marine Corps versus the Pirates of Tripoli, published by Fort Circle Games. I think this is their first game from this new company. It's for 1 to 2 players, 45 minutes to an hour long, and I would agree with that. We'll have a look at the components and I'll tell you a little bit about what I think to the game mechanics. So let's start with the rulebook. The rulebook is very well written. It's a fairly straightforward game. It's definitely on the lower scale of complexity. It talks you through the components, how to set up the game. I had no problems understanding and reading the rules. It's very clear how the sequence of play works, how combat works, how movement works. There's different types of combat. There's naval combat, where you've got ship on ships. You've got bombardment, where ships are fighting sort of against land forces. Pirate raids. Some interesting tournament play ideas. And then the solitaire, and I'll talk more about the solitaire when we come to look at the actual gameplay. But the rulebook's not many pages, 12 pages in total. Very well written, very concise. This is a straightforward game. Probably takes 20 minutes, I guess, to skim through the rules and set the game up to be able to start playing. It's pretty straightforward, I found it. It's definitely a introductory type war game. So yeah, it's great. Very well done. You get this. This is really good. You get a copy of a letter from Thomas Jefferson. It's just a historical content. It's nothing to do with the gameplay or anything like that. But it's a nice historical nod and very well done, very well reproduced. Very nice component as well. And you get historical supplement and designer notes. I'm not terribly au fait with this period of history. This is just after the War of Revolution. And I've got I've got 1 or 2 books on this period of history, the sort of Barbary, corsairs or pirates, whatever you want to call them. And it's quite interesting. It does a good job giving you an overview of the First Barbary War, which is what this game covers. It helps give the game some context. So if you're not super familiar with it, this is a really nice edition, very well written, an enjoyable read, and was great. Sort of gives that extra depth to the game in terms of its context, to its historical thematic feeling, and design notes, which is great. Gives a great suggested bibliography. I think I've got the book from Osprey on this particular historical subject, which again is quite overview, a good starting point. It's great. And then a massive list of playtesters. This is great. Again, very much like the rulebook, very well written, well produced, nicely laid out, very clear, a great addition. So yeah, top job. So next up, components. Components are brilliant. The board is a mounted board, very hard wearing. I've played this game a handful of times now, 2-player, and played it a real bunch of times solitaire. Sits flat, finish is excellent. The art and graphic design is superb, very clear, the contents of the board. The board, as you can see, is very landscape in its orientation, doesn't take up a huge amount of space. I've laid some of the cards out here. This is actually laid out for the Solitaire game, which I'll talk a little bit about, but just to give you some indication of the visuals on the cards. All the artwork of the cards is period and fits in really nicely with the history and the thematic of the game. All the wooden ships are great. Again, the finish is absolutely superb. There's not a huge number of components to the game. There are different types of ships, and the cubes represent sort of land forces. Very straightforward game to get in and start playing. In terms of the gameplay, for the 2-player game, each player has a deck of cards, and you are taking cards for each year, and you play those cards over the different seasons. The cards enable you to move your ships about and battle with other ships, fundamentally at its most base level. There are extra cards for extra options to you to try and thwart your opponent, which are very entertaining and very compelling. The aim of the game is for the player playing in the United States, they have to try and get the conditions so that the opposing player has to sign a treaty. That's quite challenging, I'll be honest with you. The opposing player, you are trying to sink all the frigates of the American player, or gain all, I think they're just off camera actually, all these gold, all the gold basically. And it's a fun, quite breezy, hour-long two-player game. Both sides are quite asymmetrical. The combat is very straightforward. You're rolling dice per for the ships. You get a whole bunch of dice that you need, and you can move ships into opposing harbours or the sort of areas outside of the harbour. You can be moving the ships around, bringing more ships on. The going on pirate raids. It's just all very thematic. All the mechanics are very straightforward. This is not a complicated game, but the game has a huge amount of depth to it that is super compelling. Now, the one thing I want to call out is the Solitaire game. So straight out the box, two-player game. Yeah, like I said, read through the rules. It's a pretty straightforward game. Plays really nicely and quite quick. The Solitaire game uses a really neat mechanic where you play as the American player. You have your deck of cards, just like the two-player. Every turn, you take a number of cards. You play the cards one at a time. You play a card. Then you flip to the AI, and the AI have a sort of a priority set of cards. You'll play through those cards one at a time. For the most part, these cards at the top here, when you've played them, they'll go into the discard. They'll go out of the game, and they're out of the game. That triggers certain events in the game, triggers the events for the AI to play against you, and it's super fun. It's very straightforward AI system. The cards all make sense. You lay them out in a specific order, and you just work your way through. I would say playing against another player and playing against the AI. Playing against the AI, one of the neat things about this is you can play the game quite quickly. And when I started playing against the AI the first few times, I would play literally a couple of turns and realise the AI were going to win and reset and play again and play again and play again. And it's quite difficult to, depending on the dice rolls, to stop them from getting all the gold. They get all the gold basically because they do lots of pirate raids at the beginning of the game, and the American player on the back foot. And then mid game it sort of turns a little bit. So that's super fun and really compelling experience. I would say that for a game that is two-player and solitaire, this is one of those unusual games I think where I would go and say for me I enjoyed the game two-player a lot, and it's incredibly as a good fun breezy quick playing game. I found the solitaire incredibly engaging because I really had to think about how to try and stop them from winning, basically, which I found really good. So, concluding thoughts: all the components are brilliant. The rulebook really well written. It's a straightforward game to learn. It doesn't take much to do before you start playing your first game. You will be doing lots of naval battles. You will be moving ships around from area to area. You will be going on pirate raids from the different ports. You'll be doing everything through the cards. The cards are very clear, beautifully with beautiful historic paintings. The real quality to the game. The two-player game is a lot of fun. If one player has played the game a lot more than the other, they will have by far the upper hand. But if you both players are as experienced as each other, it's really well balanced and very asymmetrical, I found. And really a lot of fun. The especially for trying to get all the gold. Everything is about 5. We had one game, and yeah, the gold was definitely the thing. One player trying to get the gold, the other player trying to stop them getting the gold. The Solitaire is brilliant. The very straightforward to play through. The cards as the AI bot. One of the most pleasant surprises of this game for me was the Solitaire game. I came to the game really thinking I was going to play as 2-player. And I thought, you know what, I'll play the Solitaire game. I had a blast playing at 2-player. I'll play the Solitaire, but oh my goodness, it's brilliant. And it's because it's very straightforward and really, 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 really makes you try and maximise the cards you're dealt against what you know the AI is going to be doing and is doing against you. And it's a lot of fun, really compelling experience. So overall, if you're in the market for a game about this particular period of history and you're looking for a low complexity, easy to get into, fun for 2-player and for the Solitaire game, I think this is a brilliant game. You don't need to know anything about the history, I'll be honest with you, because the historical notes are brilliant, and it's a very interesting period of history that I didn't know too much about. So I've enjoyed doing some research into the history. For me, one of the reasons I like playing these types of war games is to actually deliberately pick something historical period I don't know much about, and I find that a game that I can set up and play in an evening and have fun doing so, learn a little bit about the history, do some historical research. Together, they expand my knowledge and expand my appreciation. I think it's a brilliant thing based on a game that is fun and compelling to play. And this game does that in spades. So yeah, top job all round. Really enjoy playing this game and would happily play it again and again and again. Massive well done on all the components. It's the quality of the game, just the actual physical quality of the game is superb. And I'm pretty sure this is the first game this new publisher has published, so I'm looking forward to more games from the publisher because this is excellent. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching as ever.